In today's video, I'll show you how you can create a memorable list for numbers 10 to 19 using the peg and measure method of memory. Hi, I'm Nick Mema from ImpressiveMemory.com, and this video is part 4 of the How to Memorize Numbers Easily series. I've linked to parts 1, 2, and 3 below. You can also access these videos on the blog or at the playlist section of YouTube. The playlist is called How to Memorize Numbers Easily. With that said, let's get into it. In the previous video, which was part 3, I showed you how to come up with your peg list for numbers 0 to 9. We only need to combine those consonants representing 0 to 9 to stand for numbers 10 to 19. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. The beauty of the peg method is that you only need to remember the consonant letters and sounds for 0 to 9. Once you go beyond number 9, you only combine the consonant letters and sounds for whatever number you want. To understand better, let me show you what I mean. Let's start with number 10. It has 1 and 0. Remember the consonant sounds for 1 and 0? For 1, it's T or D. And for 0, it's S, Z, or a soft C, which produce the S or Z sound. When you combine the two, as in 1, which is T, plus 0, which is S, we can form words like toes or ties. If you use D for number 1, you can come up with words like dice, does, dies, and so on. If you don't understand what I mean, please watch part 3 of this series where I talked about the consonants and the sounds representing numbers 0 to 9. Let's move on to number 11. It's a combination of T and D. Like I said in part 3, you can choose between the two consonants. Because numbers 10 to 19 all contain the number 1 in them, I'll use the consonant T for each number going forward. But you can just as well use the consonant D. The choice is yours. Since 11 is 2 T's put together, you can come up with words such as tot, tit, tat, and so on. For 12, it's T and N. When you combine them, you have words like tin, tan, or tan. For number 13, we have T and M. Think of words like Tom, team, or time. 14 is represented by T and R. You can use words like tree or tray and so on. The consonants T and L represent number 15. What words come up? What about words like towel, tool, tall, and the like? Next, we have 16. The number 6 has 4 consonant letters which sound the same. They are sh, ch, j, and the soft G, j. This is discussed more in part 3 of the series. Personally, I often use the consonants sh and ch sound to form words for my numbers. For 16, you can use the word tissue, which produces the sh sound, or teach and torch, which produce the ch sound. Moving into number 17, we have a combination of the T and the k sound. This can form words like tick or tack. If you use D for number 1, a simple memorable word is duck. Number 18 is represented by T and the f sound. You can use a word like toffee, which is a form of sweet or candy, or the word tough. Notice the f sound with the consonants G and H. When sounded together, they produce the f sound, like tough. And finally, for number 19, we have a mix of consonants T for number 1 and P or B for 9. You can use words like tab, tap, tape, or tip. So that's how you create your own peg list for numbers 10 to 19. You may have also noticed that there are some words that have silent letters while others have double letters. In part 2 of this series, I talked about the rules of the major method. You learn why we ignore silent or double letters in our peg words. Head over to part 2 to learn more. To help you get your creative juices flowing and to see how you can use your imagination, have a look at my peg list for 10 to 19. For number 10, my peg word is toes. I imagine myself having gigantic, ugly toes. For 11, my peg word is teeth. Well, you know what that means. I'll leave this to your imagination. As for 12, I use tin. I imagine myself crushing a tin with my bare hands. For 13, I use Tom. I picture my friend Tom. With 14, my peg word of choice is tree. I imagine myself climbing an extremely tall tree to the very top. For 15, I use the word towel. The consonant W is irrelevant in the peg method, hence the reason we ignore it. So I picture myself going to work or anywhere for that matter with only a towel. With 16, my favorite peg word is tissue. I visualize myself using tissue paper in the bathroom. Enough said. As for 17, my peg word is tick. I picture a huge tick biting me. For 18, I use toffee as my peg word. I imagine myself sucking on a delicious piece of toffee. And finally, for number 19, tub is my peg word of choice. I imagine myself having a satisfying bath in a tub. So that's how I use my imagination to memorize numbers 10 to 19. Whenever I see number 13, for example, I picture my friend Tom. The same for 15. I imagine a tree instead of the number itself. To conclude, using mental pictures to memorize numbers pays off when you try to memorize long digit numbers like 4 numbers, for example. For example, have a look at this 6-digit number, 101,713. You can use the peg method and a silly story to easily memorize this number. So you can break it down like this. 10 equals toes, 17 equals tick, and 13 equals Tom. So use a silly story to memorize this number. Here we go. Imagine your toes being bitten by a huge tick and your friend Tom, being so brave, is helping you to remove it. A silly, stupid story like this sticks in your mind. It's vivid and memorable. And best of all, you've just memorized a 6-digit number effortlessly. And you know another thing? You can equally say the same number backwards. In future videos, you'll see the practical uses of the peg method and how it helps you sharpen your memory. If you've enjoyed this video, like and share with your friends. Subscribe and press the notification bell if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.